Good morning. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm good.
Outstanding. Good to hear.
You look handsome in your suit.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. So, I'm Stacy Radcliffe.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. So, tell the viewers a little something about yourself, Mick.
Yeah, so I think I say the Doctor of Digital is my nom de plume. It's the one that I have a podcast and I do business work. I also a co-host of what's called The Aftermath, which is a new podcast. And so from those, I do both business and personal. The Doctor of Digital is the business one, and the personal side is the aftermath. And so I'm one of those people who had a custody alienation type of situation. I wrote the novel about that, Burning America in the Best Interests of the Children, with a question mark on that situation. So I think a combination of both personal and professional gives you a little bit of background about who and what I am.
Okay. So, tell my viewers what the personal background is as far. Well, let's start with the professional, and then we could dive into the personal a little bit, as much as you want to tell us.
Oh, I'm open book. So yeah, feel free to ask away. There's nothing that I would say I wouldn't talk about. Oh, some people are squeamish, but no, I'm an open book. But in terms of personal, I was that the doctor part came from I was a longtime educator, so executive region director, campus dean, professor, did a lot of work in education, various levels. And throughout my career, it actually was everything from preschool through graduate school. So every type of educational level I've done. And the primary goal when I initially got my degree was to be a stand-up professor. So liberal arts background, historian of religions, and also just general history. And I really enjoyed that. But I think then I moved into consulting because I realized with the internet as it came about in 1994, I thought there's this whole new world that's out there and it's sprawled and gone into all different kind of directions. And that's how we get to meet and we do these things that we are. But I thought that was very interesting. So I started doing some consulting in 1998, started my own consulting firm. And then more recently, I focused on digital marketing, but I also am a voice talent. I do recordings, audiobooks, things like that, commercials, narratives. And then as an author, both of novel and academic writing, there's something like 78 publications. And I'm also adapting the novel now as a screenplay. So I'm also going to be a screenwriter, let's say, hope. So a lot of things to do in terms of professional background.
Wow. That's a lot of stuff. I mean, like I'm just taking a list in my head and I'm just like, wait, hold on. Let's talk about the historian of religion. I need to talk about that part. And then you were like, the digital marketing, I need to talk about that because I feel like that's what I don't know if you remember me saying it, but I feel like that's something that I need to start doing once I finish up this season.
Sure.
I try to end the season because we're going a different route. We're pretty much trying to create a business, and so aside from Avon and insurance and all that other stuff, this is the biggest we've ever gotten into,
Good.
venturing off into that stuff because I'm a phlebotomist, and Tamika, she's
Oh,
a nurse, so she and I decided we've always been like the same mentality, aside from all of our friends would probably be like, oh, we're just comfortable doing what we're doing. But for us, we're just like, no, we got to do something else. Like we've been in
love it.
nursing for so long and we just got to try. And, we love going to, places, traveling. We love doing all of that. But then we want a reason to also travel and do marketing too. So when I decided this season, because she's working on her business, So this season, I decided that I was gonna try and meet up with people that were in businesses and stuff, and who are go-getters, who are doing all kinds of adventurous things that, you look up to, and mentors and stuff like that. So when
Mm.
I read your bio, I was like, oh my God, I gotta have this guy on this show. And I was like,
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Nice of
that's
you to
why
say.
when that day you were like, "What? Another?" Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, there's a bunch of us that have the same names, and I'm trying to get away from that, but it's kind of hard because it's stuck." And all the people that I talk to, like the newspapers, they're like, "Oh, I like your name," and I was like, "Okay, I'll just keep it for now."
Yeah. So it's branding. So I mean, that would be one thing. If you're talking about digital marketing, and that's when you said the suit and everything else. I mean, all this is branding. I mean, the car behind me, it's branding. So you see a lot of the things that I do, I'm
Mhm.
consistent. And where the car comes in, it's a short story, but it's a good one. It's my parents' first new car. My dad passed away some years ago, but I keep it in his memory. And as a kid, that was like the family car. So that's part of the branding. I mean, I've been around for a long time, so I'm solid. It's like all American muscle back in the day where we knew this. And when I was a kid, something like over 90% of the cars manufactured in the entire world were from the United States. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. It's a long-term quality, it's good, it's going to last, and that thing still runs. So if a car can run from 1957, it gives you an idea of just how good things and products were made. And thinking of music, again, almost everything, every conversation's got music in it. I was one of those kids listening to Motown and listening to stuff on a little transistor radio. But the thing was, the music was better, life was better. And so it's not just nostalgia, because some of it is, that's true. As an older person, you get it. Some of it's nostalgia, some of it's good memories, but the quality of life was just so good. So I really appreciate what you're saying, that you want more. You better believe it. There's a lot in the world, and you got to go get it. Opportunity doesn't always come knocking. You got to go looking for it. And that's a great attitude to have. So now at my point in my life, when people say, what do you do? It's like, I don't know, pick a card, any card. So yes, digital marketer, author, voice talent. I think you've got to keep growing and keep doing everything that you possibly can in order to find out who and what you are. So there's a great psychologist, Eric Erickson, who talks about the self-actualized person. Absolutely. Pursue every possible venue, pursue every possible talent that you have. And one of the things that you want to get out in the world then is your branding. So that's where digital marketing comes in. What are you trying to establish? What are you trying to get across? And for me, what I'm trying to say is that I'm established, I'm reliable, and just like this American muscle behind me, a 57 Buick, that's what you're going to get. And that's whatever your message is, be consistent with it. And that's what branding is. And you get that out through digital marketing.
That's beautiful. Because you were saying that, I was thinking about, remember Toys, well, not remember Toys R Us. Toys R Us, right?
Yes. Yes.
So of course I have three kids. One is like 27 and my twins are 9. So we used to live at Toys R Us. That was our thing. And then when they said they were closing down all the stores
Yeah.
in Toys R Us, I'm like, why? I was like, we shop here. We're like, most of our money's contributed there. How did that happen? And then I was like reading, I literally did a deep dive into it because I was like, why?
Yeah.
With Amazon coming out, I was like, they can go, online, they could do all their online sales and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed. I was probably the most disappointed person in America when Toys R Us closed. But then, I got over it. My kids don't need any more toys, anyways.
I,
And then, about like a month ago, I just heard they're coming back,
mm,
and they combined with Macy's, and I was just thinking, that's right. Like the motivation that I got from hearing that, because I was like, even a company that had a fall, they managed to come back, and they combined forces, collaborated, and now they're back, because you got to evolve with the time. And
yes.
I was just like, this this is the reason why I ended up changing up the podcast a little bit. Like at the beginning, we had, we didn't really take it seriously. It was just something to joke around. And then we started getting all of our friends on there. And then towards the end, we started monetizing, and it was the money was just sitting there. We're just like, what are we going to do? And everybody's like, we're over it. And I was like, I'm not. I'm just gonna keep going. Me and Tamika,
Good.
we're just gonna keep going, and it represents kind of like the story that you tell about, the car and stuff. So that's why I was thinking, you always got to change, and you always got to evolve with everything that's going on in this world, because you'll be left behind. So I
Yep.
understand your story, and I get it wholeheartedly. I get it.
Yeah, there's all kinds of companies. The great person to study here is Jack Welch. So I used to teach at a university that's associated with the Jack Welch Management Institute. And Jack is great. He passed on, but I mean, he at one time he had taught something like 35 of the 38 top CEOs in the United States, an incredible record. And he trained them, and he has a great saying, it's buy them or beat them. I mean, in terms of competition, he's right. Either you make enough money and you buy your competition, or you've got to figure out a way to beat them. So there are those really horror stories that you say. At one time, when a person was going to get a tissue, they would say, well, give me a Kleenex. Well, Kleenex is a company name.
Mm.
Likewise, at one time, people used to say, because this is my age coming through, people used to say, get me a Xerox. Well, Xerox is a company, but they meant copy because they were the first copying company that was out there. Well, Xerox is dead. Kleenex has got all kinds of challenges, and there are places like this. Blockbuster used to be huge, but they
Yeah.
got kicked out because of Netflix. So your point is that absolutely valid. You either have to adjust and accommodate the market shifts and be wise enough to see that when it's happening, or you're going to fall by the wayside. But coming back like Toys R Us would be awesome. And again, it's collaboration. Find the people and get a team around you. I mean, I'm a sports analogy, so I'm too short. I love basketball, but I'm only 6'2". But the thing is, you learn this from sports. Yes, it's a team effort, and every person on your team is really key. They do what they can do in order to make everybody better and the entire team stronger. And that's where you come up with saying, yes, we've got a team and we've got to collaborate, because not everybody can pass, not everybody can dribble, not everybody can shoot, not everybody can rebound. But in basketball or any sport, this is what you find. And so for a lot of us, especially boys, this is the thing that we learn, and we get it from sports. If we play sports, we realize, well, one guy is a home run hitter and another guy's a base stealer. And, you try to bring all those elements together in order to have a winning team. And business is much like that. Find those people who are out there that have the determination and also are a good team player, and they can provide something of value for whatever your goal is.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish someone can create like this network of podcasters. Like if you are a podcaster, you're in it, and you can meet all kinds of people, because this is like the only business where, you really don't have competitors. You have collaborators.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really cool. I mean, even if you see somebody and they're getting ahead and they're doing better, or they're doing greater or bigger, they can always like help you out,
Mm-hmm.
because I have a couple people that I was like, wow, they're doing this. And then all of a sudden they started following me, and I was like, oh, okay, because I sent them a question, because I had a question that needed to be answered. So I was just intrigued. I fell into this rabbit hole, and I don't even really feel like getting out right now. So I'm excited about it. So because I am so new at, not new at the editing, not new at the, but probably really new at the marketing. We came up with a couple ideas and stuff. I mean, we are going like full force and taking a month off to just go different towns because we live in like Palm Desert, Palm Springs area in
Oh, okay.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just going to like beach cities and stuff and promoting the podcast, and
Hmm.
we're looking into doing some video logs on our journey and stuff. So do you have any advice for me?
Yeah, definitely. When you're get the branding is important, and branding means everything that you do from if it's an established company in a brick and mortar,
Mhm.
branding is the person who is picking up the phone has got to reflect who and what you are,
Mhm.
the images that you have, your presentation of all of your material, and your follow-up. So branding is a little bit broader because usually people think of, well, I've got a logo or like the thing that you have behind you. Like, well, yes, part of that is that's branding, but also who and what you are. Because be authentic, be yourself, and that's the best thing that you can do. You say who and what you are, this is what you're all about, and then be consistent with that. But in terms of then actually digital marketing, of course, then you want to start with things and how do they find you. So a landing page, a web page, being able to have perhaps the Google or Facebook ads to promote yourself. I mean, all of those things are a part of it. If you have an established base already, you've got some emails, for example, get an email list together, keep pumping those things out. So, in terms of digital marketing, there's various ways that you go. There's probably about 8 different paths. And the image that I usually have with people I shared, it's kind of like a subway map. And I was like, okay, well, which of these paths do you see yourself going on? And then depending on which one, then you can start seeing whatever services you are. But in terms of, your basic company is you have to let people know who and what you are. And that has to do with have to find you, first of all. So generally it's some type of website, or then you can branch out, into Facebook and all these other things. And that is the great thing about both podcasting and social media, that who and what you are is unique to you, but then you can also reach so many more people through the tools that are available for, primarily something like Google and Facebook.
Because I was thinking about an a website, but I was like, what am I gonna really put on a website? I wanted to because I paint and I do upcycling. And of course I'm a phlebotomist, so I could probably do like a little teaching course on there. So
Yeah.
that was one thing I was thinking I could put on the website, but I was like, do I need a website? Technically, I have a website when you think of Spotify. So what do you think, is that like a little bit too less? Do I need to go more and go with the website?
Yeah, it depends on what your goals are. So, yes, you have a presence through podcasting and Facebook and what have you, and some people are able to go down that route. If you want more established, then that's where people are saying they take you more credibly as a business if you have a website, and then you feed everything through that and you drive traffic to that. So it's sort of like the basis, and then you branch out and to all the other things that you have, which are Facebook and podcasting or what have you. But they have to find you, they have to know like who and what you are. And generally people need to read a little bit as well too. Think of it this way: the statistics show you that a person has to make 7 contacts before you get on board, which means 7 different ways. So either they've heard you, they've emailed, you've emailed them, they've looked at your website, checked you out on Facebook, 7 different contact points before you get them on your side. And then a lot of times that's where a website will come in, because they're going to look you up. They want to know, like, okay, is this just a person who's just a voice and just on Facebook, which everybody has access to? But in terms of your background, that's where usually where a website will come in, and they take you more seriously because now that they know where you are, right? They can
Yeah.
find you. You're in one place.
Oh, that's a good point because I was wrestling with that for a little bit because Tamika had gotten her website and she's been still working on it. And Like I know for me, because I've been doing a lot of digital editing and a lot of stuff that has to do with, I learned like Microsoft stuff by myself. I was self-taught. So that's how I, at one point, I was administrative assistant and I was doing like
Hmm.
database and all this other stuff. So I know doing a website's not going to be hard for me once I purchase it. Um, but I was still skeptical about it. I'm like, I don't need it. Why? I already have one. But it makes sense because I'm stepping out of again, branching out, stepping out of your comfort zone, and just saying yes to all the possibilities that are out there. That's going to be an easy task for me to do.
Yeah, and they can find you. They know where you are, and you drive everything to that in a sense. So then they can find whatever their particular medium is. Because some people will want to listen, some people will want to connect on Facebook, some people will find you in different ways. But having a website, it just kind of gives you that credibility that they know who and what you are, and then they can read. You can tell your background, and that's a personal side. Like I said, if you say you're a phlebotomist, well, then people, it's like, okay, well, there's something more to that person because they know who and what you are. They feel like they know you better. That's, I think, what it comes down to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, being a phlebotomist has its ups and downs, I'll tell you that much.
Well, I would tell you this because I've had some bad experiences, one really horrible one, but a good phlebotomist is what you really want. My cousin is a phlebotomist in Pennsylvania, and she's phenomenal, and she's a really good heart, and I mean all the great things that you find. And I ask these people when they're about their, I go, "Are you good? Just let me know." And I have these really great veins too, and that's what I tell them. It's like, I'm easy. I know I'm easy. You can get vein. My veins on both arms are great, but I'd rather stick on my left just because I'm right-handed. But I mean, it's a skill, and the fact that if you can make people feel comfortable, because a lot of people really don't like the process, that goes a long way with alleviating the concern. Like, oh, okay, you're calm and quick and easy, and it doesn't hurt. Okay, we can do it.
Oh yeah. I've always come across people who are just like because we have like a small facility and sometimes they're like I normally pass out or something like that and I'll talk them through it. Usually I've got them on a beach drinking a little cerveza or something in their mind and they're focused on their breathing and I
Nice.
try to make them like laugh and stuff so that way they're just be like, oh, that's it, it's over and done with. And I try to calm those people down. There's other people that come in and they're literally just like anxiety ridden and
Yeah.
calm those people down. The only ones I don't like are the mean ones, and that's those are the ones that just come in and they're just like demanding and throwing things around. Otherwise, like all my patients have always been good. So that's the ups and downs about it. But it's funny that you said that because I get that all the time. People look at me and they'll say, "Are you good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just started."
No, you're supposed to say, I'm doing this for years. I could do this in my sleep.
Oh no, I like to mess with people when they say that, and they start cracking up laughing, and then I'm like, "See my gray? I've been doing this since I'm 19. I'm 45." I rehearse that so much that at some point in
Oh,
time, the first thing that comes out is, I just started." And they'll look at me and they'll be like, after I'm done, they'll be like, "You didn't just start." I was like, "I'm just messing with you guys."
that's funny.
Yeah, I like to keep people laughing because the worst thing is trying to put people in pain. But obviously you're gonna get a needle prick, so you can't avoid that. But we could talk shop all day long about that. Let's get back to the marketing.
All right, sure.
So can you tell me how your name, the Doctor of Digital, how did that come across?
Yeah, and I think it's because I really switched out of the educational field exclusively. So, with that as a background, what I tried to say is that you can be an expert in almost any field, especially if you have an academic background, which I did. So, when the internet came around, that's really what started me in that direction. So, about 1994, then consulting 1998, and having grown up and seeing the internet as it's kind of expanded and gone in all different directions. I said, well, look, no one can really qualify as an expert, but I've got an academic background. Why don't I learn as much as I possibly can about this and how to use the internet effectively? And it does come down to podcasting too, because this is something which wasn't really prevalent in the beginning in the 90s, and it wasn't in the 2000s, but it has. And everything that the internet has gone in terms of direction, if you know the past, which is my claim because I'm a historian by training, you can predict the future. So when it
Mm-hmm.
comes in terms of business, right, somebody should have seen the examples that we talked about, that if you've got Netflix and it can stream, which it was moving towards, and they
Mm-hmm.
first started sending out discs, because then I did the disc thing also. What they had done is they just did the end around on Blockbuster, because most people started to say, well, why am I driving all the way to Blockbuster and
Mm-hmm.
then seeing if I got a movie and it's not here and I got to wait for it? And what they had done is they came up with a business process that was much improved and much better. And they started moving into streaming. So, you can learn from this. Look at some trend that you see happening, and that's where you beat the competition. That's the idea of Jack Welch. Either you buy them or beat them. How do you beat your competition? Who are you competing against? What are they doing? You can learn from your competitors. When it comes to digital marketing, what I do when it comes to website, for example, I'll give a free complimentary analysis of a website versus your competitors. And some people in business don't even think about that. Well, how are you going to profit in business if you don't know what your competitors are doing and how you stack up next to them? Because I'll guarantee you that your clients or potential clients, that's what they're doing. In sales, there's a thing called the funnel. So there's the top of the funnel and at the bottom of the funnel. And the way sales are going now is the fact that by the time a person contacts you, they've already looked on the internet, they've already talked to their friends or talked to other people, looked at social media, looked at Yelp reviews, all of that. So by the time they're contacting you, they're at the bottom of the so-called funnel. In other words, they're ready to purchase. And you need to know that, because whatever services you have, they're ready. You just have to present whatever you're doing in such a way that you will get them as a sale, because they've already done a lot of research before. And it's different than the old days. See, the old days it was marketing and it wasn't digital. So people would be trying to go somewhere and get all the information from a person rather than doing all the research that they do online and looking things up before they get to you. But by the time they get to you, they're most likely at the bottom of the funnel. They're
Mm-hmm.
ready to purchase. And if you make that process easy and they like you and they enjoy hearing what you're saying, you're going to get a client out of that.
Wow. I wish I had this information before I even started, what was it, the matchmaker, because I didn't think I was going to get so many people at a time. That's why there was like so many confusions with time zone, and obviously with you, you're like, there's so many names you got, that's out
Yeah.
there. And even one person emailed me and they were like, because of the name that I have, they're just like, oh, I don't think our podcast is going to be in line. And I was like, did you not listen to it? And I was like, I thought about it and I was like, yeah, my first season, we were kind of goofing off. So we didn't take it seriously. And so I have to rebrand it and do some more marketing. And so I actually don't know like what they were listening to, but the last couple of this last season, second season and third season, you could tell we were taking it a little bit more seriously.
Good.
And this season, I'm actually proud of it because I'm meeting wonderful people like you guys. Like I'm so excited to meet professionals. And I mean, you're a professor. I look up to people who are professors, lawyers, doctors more than I do. Um, well, I mean, I kind of, look up to a lot of people who are willing to go, out of their way and do the best that they can do. They get there. You know what I mean? When other people are just sitting there judging them for getting there, they got there. So I appreciate that. And, so can you tell me more about your podcast? Like what is it all? I mean, I kind of listened to a little snippet, and of course, I'm going to start listening now because all of this information you just gave me is like gold to me. So I need as much as I can get.
Oh, well, if I can help, I'm glad to help. But I'm glad you found it useful. But yeah, what I did with the professional side, the specific Doctor of Digital podcast, was I'm talking to business leaders, CEOs, people who I think what you're describing have been successful in what they've done, and they're from all different backgrounds. One was a franchise owner, one was a voice coach, one invests in real estate, one was a video person, one was in HR. There's just all kinds of things that people are doing. And I said, you'd make a great guest because I'm looking for people who are CEOs or business leaders and who have been successful. So ask people about their background. What do they find in their field? What's the important topics in their field? What should people who are listening to them think about, and how their business could benefit from what they had said? So what I was trying to do there, and what I feel is that people are hearing from a number of different people in various fields that you can benefit from, or hearing what their experience have been like in order to find out how to be successful in business. So that's what I was trying to do with that. And then say with the aftermath was a different, where I co-host, it's the personal side where I said, yeah, well, life interferes with what you're doing. So there's a great John Lennon line that I quote all the time, that life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. Like, I love that quote because you're doing a lot of things and you think you have a focus, but there's just those ordinary things in life that come up. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is to suggest that your personal life and your business life are very difficult to keep totally separate, because it's almost impossible, especially because of the internet and because of the way that we live and the way that things have changed. So we have the different time zones, and the internet has connected us, for example, everywhere in the world. I
Mhm.
was speaking to a guy from Nigeria before this call. I give you an idea. Now, how would I ever speak to someone in Nigeria before the internet? Well, it's not going to happen. But what this does in terms of the internet is that it's brought everybody together in some ways, and it's bridged time and space, which we've never had. So it's a unique opportunity in world history. We've never had anything like this. You used to have to get on a boat and take 6 weeks to cross the Atlantic, and there were storms, and the boats weren't that good, and people would have shipwrecks and what have you. Well, we don't have those issues anymore. And what we can do is to benefit from hearing from other people and how they've done successful things in terms of their business. So that's what the Doctor of Digital podcast started out with. And I've also associated with a global company. The way we phrase it is, there's a slogan that we use: global knowledge, but local results. Meaning that it's a company that's in over 80 countries. It's helped over 150,000 businesses over the course of the years, but you can tap into that network. So when I say there's, say, 8 different paths on digital marketing, what I can do is, at a moment's notice, I can get a hold of people from all over the world: Brazil, Mexico, South Africa, Switzerland, and they are the best at what they do. So whether it's SEO or building a website or email marketing or whatever it is, I call on them as a vendor, and we work together, because that's part of the collaboration. Where I've been a manager before, or an executive, the difficulty in the staff is the same problems that you have is what they're having. And, their cars are breaking down, and they got childcare and elder care issues, and, all kinds of things. So I don't have a staff, but I have a network of people to call into. And then whenever I have a client, for example, I just find the best in the world, literally. And then we plug them in, and that company can benefit as a result.
Wow. That's nice. I'd like to get into that because I do have a list of global listeners, which I wish I could get, know who they are and where, but I'm not able to pinpoint it. I just know it's like it'll just say Brazil, Singapore. So that way I can like branch out and see what sort of podcasts they have on their end and try to link up with theirs so that way I could branch out a little bit more because I really didn't think I was going to go global until I was just like clicked on the app and they're giving me my analytics, and I was like, oh my god. First, it was like I was German in Germany, and I had an ex-boyfriend that was from Germany. And I was like, I wonder if he called somebody in Germany and said, "Listen to my podcast" or whatever. But then it just got a little bit bigger in Germany, and then it just kept changing and changing, like adding more and more Sweden, all this other stuff, and I was like, it's got to be from my Facebook.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this would be a great opportunity to just to let everybody know like how they can get a hold of you if they need any tips and anything more that you could.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, couple ways. It's either the Doctor of Digital podcast, or I'm also on the Aftermath, and that's the personal side. But if they want to contact me directly, by all means, it's easy email. It's Mick, like Jagger, except he makes more money. Mick.smith at WSI World. It stands for We Simplify the Internet. So Mick.smith at WSIWorld.com. So you can contact me directly, listen to the podcast, or either one, Doctor of Digital or the Aftermath. And glad to help people. And it's the conversations that are great. It's global conversations. It is that global knowledge, but local results. And what you can do for yourself in terms of running a business is, what would you like to get out of that business when you monetize and you have some services that people would be interested in? So whatever that might be, offer something, service, offer a sales, whatever it might be. If you got a good branding, t-shirts, clothing, something like that. If people are listening, they obviously are interested in what you're doing. So you're on the right track. You got listeners. That's really cool.
Yeah, sometimes they're like, why?
Well, here, I can tell you the why, because if you are authentic, that's the best way. So people will put on masks and people will be something else that maybe society wants or other people want or what have you. But if you are true to yourself, as Shakespeare stated, to thine own self be true.
True.
If
Yeah.
you are authentic, people respond to that. Because if I would say one thing I've known and heard so much post pandemic is that people were so isolated with the lockdowns and the restrictions and the no travel. They said they're looking for connection. Well, that's who and what we are as humans. We want connection with people. And so when you're authentic, that's what people are responding to, your authenticity. Because especially after the pandemic, that's really what was one of the primary drivers of podcasting. People were isolated and they go, well, I got to hear something. I've got to make connection. They
Yeah.
started listening to podcasts,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you're in their ears, right? I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
You're right in their head. That's the thing about podcasting.
Yeah, and since we're kind of still in the pandemic, I think that's what's making the podcasting such a big thing because, television's kind of like it kind of it's it's like when you used to let your kids just sit there and watch TV so you can go clean the kitchen floor for like about 5 minutes, but then when you're done, they're just like, okay, we got to go play because they're just as sick of sitting there. And but you could drive down like a long road or long
Yeah.
trip or journey. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
podcasting has come a long way. I don't even believe that I'm on it. I feel like a superstar now that I'm on it.
Oh, that's great. That's good. Oh, pat yourself on the back.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I want to thank you for being on the show. I really appreciate
Sure.
it.
Oh,
And I you also have a book, right?
yes, I do. I have
Yes.
Burning America.
Burning America. How do we get this book?
There, you could go to my website, which is burning-america.com, but it's also on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, and Target. So any of your primary bookstores you can get it from, or just the website, burning-america or america.com.
Okay. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you taking the time out.
Likewise, appreciate your time. I love the fact that you have drive and being authentic, two really key things that not everybody has. And I can see your gifts and talents, but just share it with the world.
Oh, I will.
Awesome.
All right. I will send you an email shortly. Okay.
Sounds good. Thanks
All
for your
right.
time. Be well.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye now. Day is full.